Holla for every nonprofit executive director that expressed some apprehension with using cloud technology, cloud tools. Now, I wouldn't be rich per se, but I'd have a nice chunk of change. So today we're going to be talking about whether cloud accounting tools are even secure for your organization and what you could be doing to protect yourself. Most apprehension that I get from executive directors is usually around like security and privacy. And so in addition, I'm going to kind of talk to you about what we do here to ensure that our clients' data is kept safe and secure and like things that we recommend you do, because believe it or not, in some cases, these cloud tools are more secure than the things that you're saving on your desktop. So let's get into it. So first, I want to say that cloud accounting is secure, but you have to do your part, right? And I think you also have to think about the alternative, right? So many of you might be using desktop software, but remember that desktop software lives on one person's computer. That one person has access, and if anyone else needs to access it, they got a remote in, but through permission from that one person. So if you think about it, how much more secure is that? I've had many executive directors come to me and like, I haven't seen our books and I don't know how long because I can't access it, or an accountant is holding their books hostage because it lives on desktop software on their computer. Or even during the pandemic, you know, there were a lot of organizations that didn't have access to their books because it lived on some old computer in the office, right? But we were quarantined at home. So if you think about it, that's not much more secure. Like, you need to make sure that you can access your financial data, because it also helps you make decisions, right? You need to know what's moving in and out of the accounts, right? You need to make sure that you're looking at financial reports. And so if not, that is a security risk in itself. Now, I want to use QuickBooks Online as an example because that's the accounting software that we use here. It is a cloud-based accounting tool, but you can access it anywhere, right? So that means as long as you have a login and you have internet access, you can get into the software. The beautiful thing though is that you, as the executive director, you invite who you want to have access to your books, and you can determine their level of access, right? You can determine what it is that they're seeing. You can determine the permissions. And so if they are only AP, they can only have access to the AP module. If they are only AR, let's say, they can only have access to the AR module. And so this helps to kind of control things, right? Segregate duties to make sure that the right team members have access to the right things. Now at Visionary, when we first start working with a client, we request accounting access through QuickBooks Online. It allows us to be able to use certain accounting tools that you actually, as the organization owner or leader rather, may not have access to, but it helps us to do our job better, right? And so when the project is over, or, the engagement is no longer, a part of our offboarding process is also that you revoke our access, and we initiate that. We make sure that we tell you that our access should be revoked so that we don't still have access to your books, to your financial data, your financial information, but we're no longer your bookkeepers. You know what I mean? Like, I had a client in the past who hired us, brought us on, and when I went to see who had access, it was not only us, but also another accounting firm who was no longer working with them. That is an issue, right? That is a security issue, right? And so it's things like that, right? Thinking about who has access, making sure they have the right access, right? But then also, you want to make sure that every now and then, the same way you would review your processes, review roles and responsibilities, you want to look at your tech tools, right? Not only what you're using, but who's using them. The other part of this is that QuickBooks Online, accounting software, any other accounting software, they're not the only type of cloud tools that you may be using, right? So we could be talking about your access to your bank account, Dropbox, your donor management tool, right? There are other tools that our clients use that we get access to. And so if it is a tool, for example, that does not have accounting access, we work around that. For example, with your bank account, we ask for read-only access, right? Because we need to pull the statements, but depending on our level of engagement, right? If we're not paying bills or we're not moving money, we don't need that access, right? But for clients, let's say where we are moving money, there's roles and responsibilities, and while we may initiate the transaction, that transaction then has to be reviewed and approved before that money moves. So you see what I'm saying? There's levels. There's levels to this, right? But also, if there are other tools where we can't get specific type of access, we use a password sharing app. There are different ones out there, so of course you have to use the one that works best for you, but that allows us to get access to our clients' tools without sharing, without revealing the password, I'll say. So the password can be shared with us without us ever seeing it. That's also important because we work as a team, right? And so while maybe I have access to the password, my team doesn't need it. And so I'm able to share that access with them, but not reveal the password. And this is important because your cloud accounting tool, right? So in this case, let's say it's QuickBooks Online. That's not the only thing that we're using to keep up with your finances, right? We're looking in your bank account. We're looking at your donor management tool. We're looking at your PayPal, your Stripe, and these other, tools that you're using. And it's easier when we are able to get in versus consistently kind of like asking like, hey, can you send us this? Hey, we need access to this. Like, can you download this report and send it to us? It's better for us to have access, right? But we want to make sure that that access is controlled. And when we are no longer using it, need it, if we're no longer working with you, we ensure that you remove our access in order to protect you. And I'm gonna wrap this up with saying that education is what's really important here. When I dive into the conversations around like the apprehension or hesitation around using some of these tools or like new technology or modern technology, what I get is like somebody's just taking your information and just throwing it on the internet for the world to see. And that's not the case. Like, I mean, some of us, even our parents, right? Like they don't want to use, I don't know, Cash App, Venmo, some of these more modern, tools where you can send money because they think like random people on the internet has access to their financial data, right? And so I think it's important to really educate here. And I'm not going to go into detail, but there are other ways too that you can protect your information, right? Using, secure portals, right? If you're familiar with Smart Vault, some people still even use Google Drive, but determining who has access to what, when, how, all of that, right? Changing your password on a consistent basis, encrypting certain data that is being shared, enabling two-factor authentication, right? There are ways to keep your data secure, but just saying you're just not going to do it because you don't know the steps to take just doesn't do your organization any good. And so to wrap this up, cloud tools are secure, but again, you have to do your part. And so this was a quick one, kind of short. Hope it was helpful. If you have any questions or you want me to dive deeper into any of these topics, then of course, please leave a comment below and I'll see you guys in the next video.